Hello, this is the video for January 26, 2017, and it's titled The Need to Be Right. And before I read the blurb, I just want to say that I'm sorry that I had the last one dated for January 26th. That was the 25th video, and I, for some reason, jumped a day. Anyway, the blurb for the video for today that I'm recording right now is, I think the greatest hindrance to manifesting a peaceful world is the ego-driven need of humans to think we are right. I'm not talking about right and wrong in the moral sense, but rather the propensity to think our ideas and worldview are correct, while those who differ are wrong. This creates a gap. As I see it, only love can bridge that gap, but that requires the willingness to listen to other perspectives. We all come from unique backgrounds and have very individual experiences. We seem predisposed to frame that unique individuality. Yes, we box it in, framing it, limiting it. We are told that Jesus said, quote, "If you love only those who love you, why should you get credit for that? Even sinners love those who love them," end quote. Throughout my life, I have sought common ground, which is, I have learned, a most challenging task. People do not seem to want common ground. We want to be right. Only love trumps hate. I'll start with those last four words, only love trumps hate, which is one of the signs on the Clinton supporters on their rallies and stuff like that against Donald Trump. And now they're showing how much love they have as they protest vehemently his election. And they didn't get their own way because they don't have the love that they claim trumps the hate. And this is true. We need to wake up. We need to stop thinking in the box that we've been programmed to think in. That might be a political box, it might be a religious box, it might be a scientific box, but it's a box, it's a limitation. And that limitation prevents us from seeing the bigger picture, and more importantly, from expressing our love of life and our love for one another, even when we have a different point of view. Early in life, as I've said in other videos, I came to the realization that my training was to believe that my church was right. And I remember as a teenager going to my minister and saying, I have had a friend talk to me about Herbert W. Armstrong. And the minister's response was, "He's of the devil." Well, I subscribed then to Plain Truth magazine and began to read regularly Herbert W. Armstrong. That was the beginning of me venturing outside the accredited box of my denominational programming. Throughout my life thereafter, I began to make bridges, first to other Christian denominations. I made friends with ministers from other churches and made friends with people that went to had other congregations. I branched out. I did not put all my eggs in one basket, which frustrated those that were in one basket and tried to get me to behave myself. I had a program, as I said, Be Not Deceived. Initially, it was a 15-minute program. I think it was 7:45 to 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday mornings. And then an opening came where I could go between Billy Graham and I forget who the other Christian minister was, but I was right there wedged from 2 to 2:30, if my memory serves me correct. It might have been from 1:30 to 2, but in any case, it was Sunday afternoons. And I don't remember exactly, it was a year or two that I had that program, Be Not Deceived. And while the the second part, the half-hour one, was recorded live in the studio of WTTC in Towanda, Pennsylvania. And I, of course, recorded them, but they were recorded from the live broadcast. And those tapes that I had a whole box full of the tapes of all of my initial messages that were 15 minutes, and then the ones later that were a half an hour. And that went up when the house caught on fire, they were stored in the attic, and I lost them all. But in any case, I have made it a point to go outside the box. I published my magazine, and it was the Well Ministries, and it was outside the box. I published later the magazine, and it was a purposely provocative publication because I've had a mission, a life mission, to get people to see the bigger picture. But people, by far and large, refuse to look at the bigger picture. They refuse to see where other people are coming from and how they arrived at that position. Now, Jesus, supposedly, from one of the things that I've studied, Jesus, after he was baptized in the Jordan, he disappeared. And they say he went to, some say he went to Egypt and studied there, and others say he also or only went to the area up north of India, and he studied Buddhism. And he was a bridge builder. And other religions honor a Christ figure, although they might not use that word, but they honor it. And some of the stories, some of the traditions are very similar or the same from one religion to another, even those that predated the Jesus that we read about in the so-called Holy Bible. Why can't we see that the picture is huge? Why do we have to focus on just this little piece, as if that's the only one that is meaningful, as if that's the only one that makes sense? All of them make sense to those that are trained therein. And we're not going to have peace on earth when even those that claim to be followers of a higher power cannot achieve peace, oftentimes even within their own congregation, let alone those in other congregations and other denominations, and God forbid, other religions. Folks, if you think that I'm talking from a place of frustration, you're right. I don't know what it's going to take to get us to open our eyes, more importantly, to open our hearts, and to learn the central core of all spiritual teaching, which is love. It's what the best Muslims taught, Rumi and Yahavis. I love their writing. Have you ever read them? Or do you think they're outside the box? I love certain Hindu teachings and certain Buddhist teachings. I have gone to Hindu services. I have gone to Buddhist services. I have had the Muslim imam speak in my own group, much to the chagrin of those that's in my group that were still very narrow in their thinking. Why can't we love one another? Why is that so difficult for us? Why do we refuse to listen to each other? We all have a story to tell. We all have experience, life experience. And the only common ground that we could possibly share is to love. Are we capable of that? Or will it take divine intervention and some kind of a miracle to get us to that point where we're finally willing to consider that others have validity as well as us? Thank you for listening, and namaste.